Hello, Sage colleagues. I hope you are doing well. In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of Module 2. In the first module, we made maps of our gardens. We thought about where we lived in Colorado, and we thought about the aspect and slope of our landscapes and how the buildings on our properties create different microclimates there that kind of mimic all the aspects that are available in Colorado. And now we want to think about what species do we want to see in that space. And then as we move forward past into Module 3 and 4, we'll be thinking about where specific species should go on our maps. So we'll revisit our maps in Module 3. And then while we're thinking about that placement in the physical space of our gardens, we'll have to be tending our young plants that we have germinated. And so Module 3 and 4 will come together to you in mid to late April and on into the early part of May. And then we will move forward with our last modules 5 and 6, which will be about planting and maintaining your garden, and that should be timed properly. Like right then in mid-May, you will be actually planting your garden. So hopefully we'll be right on schedule. And then of course, we'll be finished our time together before you're harvesting these plants, but we will definitely conclude our conversation in that realm, looking to the future. In Module 2, we have some things to accomplish. We want to be able to identify the plants we want to use in the garden, and we want to choose plants that are appropriate for where we live. And then the hard work will come with developing a seeding and planting schedule. So thinking about when we need to take action in order to make that possible. The first involves you just free writing. Just take some time to think about what your dreams are for your garden. What do you want it to be like? What do you want to do there? Do you want it to have very distinct parts or flow all together? Do you want the food and the flowers to be in the same place or different places? So think about those things in the first step. Then in the second step, we will be thinking about our plant lists. We will create an edible plant list, and then we will create a plant list for natives. Once we have those species lists developed, we'll develop a backwards calendar to figure out when we need to take action seeding those plants so that they are properly timed with our local ecology. And then the final step is to go on a field trip to your local nursery, check out what they have available, see what's going on there, take lots of photos. When I first started landscaping, I always took all the photos that I shared with my clients at the nursery so that they would see this is what you're paying for, this plant. It wasn't an aggrandized photo of a botanic garden, nor was it a photo of the plant growing in the native landscape. It was the actual horticultural plant stock. So please do that. That will be educational for you. As always, I have developed this narrative here, and interspace you'll find videos that I've made to support your learning and various references. So one thing I just didn't get around to talking about in Module 1 were the life zones. We talked about it, but I didn't really provide any instruction. So the first warm-up video is about Colorado life zones. Then as we move on, you'll find my talk that I gave last week, 2 weeks ago, for the Horticultural Arts Society. And I'm sorry if some of you registered but didn't get the link. Well, I've secured it here. Just click here, but you have to enter this passcode. And it does start with a capital O and then a 0. So just copy this phrase and paste it into the password area. And there's your free writing. So those 2 videos will give you a sense of where you are in Colorado, what is possible in the garden, and then take the time to explain what you're hoping to see in your landscape. Now, I know this is a class offered by the Colorado Native Plant Society, but it would not be very sustainable for us if we did not make room for you thinking about how you're going to grow your own food. So the first narrative here is a lot about edible plants, and you might know this already. You might be a master gardener, and so please offer your advice, but I'm just giving folks the ideas of how they can mix edible plants together for a more aesthetic edible garden, and also how you can mix your flowers and edibles together in one space, again for more aesthetic but also for ecosystem services, which will be described. So at first you're going to start thinking about what do you like to grow in your garden, or what would you hope to grow. And the biggest division in edibles, which are non-natives, are they cool season plants or warm season plants? So you can work on this table. If you don't plan to grow edible plants, then you can skip that part. Throughout, I have pictures of various gardens that hopefully provide you with some inspiration. Now, right here, in the second part of this module, I do a deep dive with natives. So I've created a bunch of documents to help you out, and they're described in other videos. The video I'm making right now will land right here where this highlighting is. And so then we go on, you'll see I've just made some short notations about wildflowers and grasses and ground covers and vines that are all native and where they might go in your garden. So you might, jump ahead because you've already got your map, but you're not doing the edibles. And you could really start to think about where might these plants go in your garden. And then as we move into the next component, we have our plant lists. We've started to think about what they look like. And then we want to move forward thinking about how to start these plants by seed. The seeding of edible plants and the planning of the timing of that is far more complicated than working with the natives. So you'll see I've gone here to describe this process, and also how can you start native plants by seed. And I've talked about the various conditions and germination requirements for natives, and then we will make a backwards calendar. And I'll talk about this in the next video, but essentially we'll look at when do we want the flowers and fruit, and so when do we have to take action to make that happen. And then to wrap it up, I've just given you some advice on where and how to obtain these natives. The natives I've focused on are ones that are available in the CONIP's native plant sale, which will open in just a couple of days. And so this is just general conversation. But you could solve your plant materials acquisition with the Colorado Native Plant Sale. Then finally, at the end, go on a field trip to some of the nurseries in your area. And take lots of photos. It's great to start developing your own plant guides. Here's all the resources for exploring these topics. At the end of the modules, I've aggregated all of the references I've specifically called out in the text, but I've also included a couple of extras. And then in this module, you will have learned how to identify your plants and how to develop a planting schedule. Up next, we'll be talking about wise water planning and use in the garden. And we have several events in the CONIP's calendar in April. So I urge you, as soon as you watch this video, to head over there to the Colorado Native Plant Society calendar of events. And I need to take care of this problem, but there are many events that are occurring on the same days. But take a look. I've highlighted in my document the ones that I think most pertain to our topics in this class, but there are many others. And always keep in mind that chapter events are free. The statewide speaker series does have a $25 registration fee for each webinar, but other than that, everything you see in the calendar that is not bright green is free. So please enjoy, even if it does not occur in your geography. There are starting to be lots of in-person events, but there's also like this one right here, Southwest Colorado Growing Native Plants. It's a webinar you can attend even though you don't live in Southwest. Our next class meeting is scheduled for April 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. There's the Zoom link. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to talking with you. Please call me anytime or send me an email, although you know I'm slow at email. So please pick up the phone, 9 to 2, Monday through Thursday. Give me a call. Thank you so much. Have a great week.